This makes me want to watch like the IGN Borderlands 3 review because
Why? Do you think they did a better job than us? It's on. I don't know. I'm probably just gonna face this away we can.
Does it capture everything good?
Yeah, I mean, I filmed my last. We'll have the audience decide.
Right.
Fuck me.
Welcome to the first GameFaze Podcast. I noticed like podcasts are kind of a thing now. We have the social media page.
Yeah, welcome to our podcast that we abruptly decided to do before we started recording tonight.
We were having way too much fun with this conversation, and this is a new game that's out, so I'm sure a lot of people are talking about it.
Or not.
You clicked on I haven't heard shit on it but from like 2 people. Probably because I've been working and sleeping all the time.
And I'm one of them.
So today we're going to discuss Borderlands 3. I don't have it yet because I'm a broke-ass white bitch.
And I do, because apparently I am that other guy, the other opposite.
Now, the only other person that played this, and he's going to watch this and be like, what the frick, is our friend Dark. He got it, though, because in his state, he had one of those trade-in, and they, like, doubled the trade-in value, so he got the game for, like, $30.
Wow, that's nice. Good for him.
I've heard good things from it, but now I'm hearing, like, opposite things.
Well, the thing is, you can hear good things about it, but I personally, from what I've played, and I haven't done any research, is I don't really care for the game so far.
Tell me why. Spoilers.
Yeah, okay, heavy spoilers. If you don't want, if you're entrenched in the lore and haven't picked up your copy, then maybe this podcast isn't for you. But here are the things that Rook disagrees that Borderlands has done so far. I didn't appreciate at the very start of the game only being able to use pistols, submachine guns, and shotguns. I felt like that really limited combat. A lot of the quests that I've gone on have just been like follow quests where you get to listen to some banter and follow a person and wait for enemies to shoot, which I'm not really a big fan of. And the action has been pretty underwhelming between some of the returning characters like Lilith and the 2 new Twitch streamer people who are fighting.
Which I find hilarious.
I don't know. There are just some plot holes that I don't really appreciate, like when they're like, yes, you have a vault key, but this vault's not. It's not the only vault because Pandora's not special. They're everywhere in the universe, obviously. Well, great, but where was that in the first 2 games? I thought Pandora was special.
Didn't you kind of get shitty games in the beginning of the first 2 games? The shitty guns, I'm sorry. The first 2 games I've not played all the way through, but I love them.
I mean, the first 2 games I always fell into, I always liked sniper rifles. So I always kind of played it and hang back, because I was always playing by myself, because I didn't really have internet where I grew up.
I thought, when I played the first game, it was really a unique experience. At the time, I played it on 360.
Yeah, I played it on 360
this
as well.
This was before the DLC, and, they gave you, the handgun and a knife, or did it automatically come with a knife, like Resident Evil style?
It depended on what gun you got. Some of them had attachments that did more damage.
And you just killed, these lower-level, little desert crawler creatures, like the dogs.
Yeah.
And it was hard to kill them, and I'm like, no, so by the time I got my experience down, my friend Cameron was playing, I was like, no, you gotta run up to it and stab it and shoot and jump over it. You have to, get into this. Yeah. It's not one of those stand and shoot games.
Now, see, I guess that kind of lends itself to the ability of, choosing whatever you wanted to do and how to play the game.
Which was the RPG. I think that was the
RPG
you got element.
and you still have stat trees in this one, and one of the things I will say I like about Borderlands 3 is the ability to use more than one skill. That is actually a really good thing that they did.
I'm in my late 20s right now.
Spoilers.
But But back then, the first Borderlands, the RPG shooter wasn't really like a thing like it is today.
No, and
So it
certainly
was
didn't
different.
get the first one down in the first one, but the second one was better in my opinion. But this third one's really underwhelmed me.
So I watched, because you told me, you were like, I don't care. We were having breakfast and we were talking about our Halloween special that may or may not be out by the time you guys are hearing this recording. And you're just like, I don't care who I trigger. I hated this game. And I've not seen any reviews. Normally I watch IGN. I think IGN's pretty solid with their reviews.
Okay, I disagree on that statement as well, but
well, that's just me.
I know, I understand. I'm just giving you my opinion as well.
And that's okay. So with Borderlands 3, it's going to be each their own. Like right now, we're getting that. I've only had you and Dark play this. Like I've not heard any good things about it. I've not heard any bad things about it. And I've seen like these different trailers that, and all the imagery kind of mashes together. Just for the record, I haven't played the Tales game either.
Yeah, that's fine.
But like I was telling Rook, like there was this trailer where like the Twitch streamers, I guess, were twitching. I didn't even know they were Twitch streamers.
They're not like legitimate. They don't say Twitch streamers, but they might as well be.
They're the social media.
Yeah,
like,
social media douchebags, kind of
to get views. And they were like sending out a message to like the Vault Hunters about them being the new gods, and then like you see like the entire roster of characters through all the games. Have you seen this trailer?
No,
And-
I don't watch really trailers for
Tiny
games.
Tina's like Apocalypse Party, you know, and it's getting me hyped and everything. I'm like, yeah, you know, and
Old characters, new characters coming together for a new adventure.
Right.
Familiar faces,
And-
the ones you liked.
And I'm sitting here so many years later, like I can play all 3 games now. I'm hyped to play all 3 games. They're like, you don't really need to play the first one. I'm like, well, I want to play the first one because I don't care if it's shitty. Everyone else played it.
I like the first one, but that might just be nostalgia.
But then I get Tiny Tina's like barely in this game, and she's like this huge fan favorite character, like Ashley Birch. I love Hey Ashley, What You Playing? Like I love Tiny Tina. I love the voice actress. That role was obviously written for her, I think, by her brother Anthony, who was a writer in the game.
And see, everyone loves Tiny Tina. And I haven't, now granted, I haven't finished the game, but I don't know, this first like part of the game just really underwhelmed me.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't be talking if we haven't. Like, oh, you've completed the first 2 games.
Oh yeah,
I haven't. So I guess you can consider me like the outside perspective in a way, because I played the games enough to get the gist of what's going, the mythology, like the mechanics and everything.
The part that I stopped at, though, didn't really like make me want to continue. Now, what do you think?
More spoilers.
What-
Tell them the part that you stopped
So,
at.
right after Lilith got her power stripped away by the 2 sirens who have absolutely no credentials behind their names or battle experience, and Lilith is praised to be this hero of Pandora 12 times over, can't hold her own against 2 little baboos, and they're freaking with nobody around. With literally your character standing on the other side of a city, with basically within spitting distance, freaking she just gets like shot twice and like doesn't die but gets her powers stripped, and there's just some mediocre, I don't know, just very mediocre explosions. I was just like, really? That's Lilith? That's who they did? And like, I'm fine with like a big all-out brawl between the good and the bad, like that's fine. But at the same time, I want to see fucking explosions and body parts flying and legitimate destruction of landscape, because sirens are talked up to be that. And then again, I'm thinking to myself while I'm playing this, oh yes, sirens, apparently they're rare, but Handsome Jack's daughter was one. We played Lilith in the first game. In the second game there was another one. And then in the third game, there's another one. And then there are these 2. So it's like, what the fuck? Another thing that I really didn't appreciate so far is that I might not be a huge lore junkie on the first 2 games, but I don't really recall them saying like, ah yes, there are vaults littered throughout the galaxy. I know that they mentioned alien tech throughout the galaxy, but I didn't remember other vaults.
I think that's maybe like the cliche, like from other sci-fi tropes like Dead Space and the Alien franchise. Like if there's a secret kind of vault or superpower that exists on one planet, and
It exists on more.
it could exist on more.
Well, but that at the same time, I feel like is lazy writing because like they're like, oh yes, this first vault hunter went to numerous planets and discovered this or that. Well, then why the fuck was Hyperion there? Why the fuck did Hyperion pour all this time and effort into fucking Pandora, this shithole backwater planet where everything wants to kill you? Why did Dahl leave? Like well,
I forget, what were
Atlas,
they doing
like,
on Pandora? Were they...
They were mining.
They were
like
mining.
Dahl was mining, I think, or some corporation like Atlas, or I think like a bunch of different companies settled
They
there.
were like
because that's
fighting
where,
for it, weren't they?
yeah, they were all fighting for power or this or that, and like then the vault came or I don't remember, but it doesn't matter because they were all fighting over the same planet. It doesn't like why wouldn't they just go? Okay, well. We're fucked here. We've lost 30% of our staff to bandit raids, and there's psychos everywhere. And then other companies are threatening to shoot us with their giant space guns. Let's go to a different one then.
No, that was some of the appeal to me, was kind of like the after effect of all this stuff. Like, obviously these people are deep space exploring planets, like mining and everything. But you like come to this planet, and my first impression was like, okay, even like the characters you get the quest for have lost their shit with everything that's happened. Like this,
Yeah, they're like beside themselves
Yeah.
with like grief and rage and,
and
paranoia.
you can't help but like laugh at it.
Yeah, because that's the tone that they took.
But so you're saying like you feel like
I feel like they
kind of,
might
like
have
gone away from it.
I feel like they've gone too far with like them trying to be funny.
Now, at the same time, like maybe move to this side of the conversation.
Okay.
I can kind of see like the satire.
Right. Okay.
Okay, and so let me get into my little thing now.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because
Absolutely.
I think I made a good point.
And you did. To be fair, you did.
So like he's talking about Lilith being the savior of Pandora, and he like saved the world, like she saved the world like 12 times. I don't know if you're exaggerating.
Yeah, no, that's legitimately a line that they say over and over again in this.
And then he talks about this fight scene being underwhelming, and I can get that. Like you have like these younger generation of people, nothing against them, they're making do with this new stuff that we didn't have growing up. If I would have like had the stuff, I probably would have jumped on it.
Talking about the power of like streaming.
Like I know it's not a thing anymore, but Viners.
Yeah.
You know, I've watched like 3 shows this week. I watched Scream season 3. I've watched Light as a Feather because it's going to be Halloween, so I want to watch scary things. Do you know how many Viners I've seen guest star or have main roles in these like TV shows and music videos?
Probably more than 5.
I'm a huge fan of Billie Eilish right now, and I didn't get to make this example when we were like going over this.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like 17-year-old. She's Tourette. She's very humble. She's not like snobby or anything, which I love.
Everyone does.
I want to meet her someday.
She's
honestly,
good at making really good music.
But again, I say she's 17.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people, like back when MTV, like I don't know if you kids know this, but MTV Music TV had fucking music videos. There was no reality bullshit. There was like Total Recall Live where they had a host. They stood up there with the host and they counted down music videos, and you see like a minute 30 clip of like the music videos. There never used to be any of this reality stuff.
I really liked those, by the way. Sorry.
Back in the day, like, and they had specials like behind the music video, because music videos were like these huge productions. The artists had to work their ass off. They had to meet people. They had to know people. And these days, social media is just so like you're out there. Like, I don't feel like the kids are putting in as much work. I'm not saying that the ones who like have gotten up there aren't doing work. I think it's just easier than it looks today.
I think that they have a lot more modems to get out there, but at the same time, there's something
there's
that
a lot more outlets. So you have these 2 kids, right? They're younger than Lilith, supposedly.
Most likely, I don't.
They act it. They
Absolutely.
act very
Immature.
immature. I'm not saying all Twitch
Douchebags.
I'm not saying Twitch streamers, any kind of streamer, are douchebags or anything. But I can kind of see, like, where we were, like, okay, we've been through all this with this character for how many years now between Borderlands 1 and 2. And then these new kids just come in, and they're streaming, like, the kill of the day and stuff like that. And I think it's very much like social satire of how things are now. I'm, like, in my late 20s, again, spoilers, haha. And I'm making how much money, and then like you have these kids who are on TV and doing all this stuff, and I'm not saying they didn't work for it, it's just they have easier outlets to come out and just automatically overpower people who have worked, if not more than them and not gotten an inch in their life.
So the thing that I want to bring this back to is like, does that equal a good story? And does that equal a good game? No, I want to bring that up in conversation. I want to talk about that because that's a whole nother thing.
I mean, yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no, because I feel like it is very dramatic to have your characters beaten so easily by these newcomers. And not only did they beat the new characters, but they managed to, like you say, do what the villains in the first 2 games couldn't do in 2 games, in like an hour.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant. Like, you have these people who have worked, like, for years building up their reputation to, like, let's say, sing on Saturday Night Live or something like that. And then you have these kids that have been famous for, like, 2 years and then they're singing on Saturday Night Live. They're, like, accomplishing more because of technology and the outlet and half the time as the people that came before them.
And
I don't know where... who developed Borderlands again? I feel stupid. Can I see the box? Gearbox. I don't know where Gearbox got this, but to them it fit, and I don't even know if they did it or not. This is just what I'm taking away from it. But again, like when it comes to shooter RPGs, and maybe it's just that competitive streak, like maybe they wanted to capture that. You know how Twitch streamers are always like, some of them are in boxing matches now, aren't they? You always hear about scandals.
They were not. Those were YouTube. Those were douche tubers.
Okay, but you hear about like these like people in like Overwatch teams and their scandals and everything. Like I'm
not big on the whole.
I don't know how they thought to utilize this. To me, it just feels awkward being in a shooter game.
You seem to like the satire. I, on the other hand,
I like the satire, but again, I haven't played the game, so I don't know if it's going to work for me.
Yeah.
These newer kids that are playing Borderlands 3 that didn't get to play Borderlands 1 might love the shit out of it.
It sounds like you're on the side of seeing where the satire can go.
Yeah, well, like I said, because Borderlands 3 is out now, this is 2019. When did Borderlands 1 come out?
Well, I can look that up right here on my handy-dandy internet device.
Right, I should be using that. But my thing is, like, when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, there was a lot of people that really loved it. Me, I loved it. I didn't think it was long enough compared to, like, let's say the second game.
Right, because they are traditionally long games.
Then you have, like, parents who are playing the third game with their kids, because when the first game came out, they were teenagers.
It came out October 20th, 2009.
Okay, so that was 10 years ago. So obviously, there's going to be a new generation of gamers playing 3 that they're probably trying to relate to.
Yeah, no,
and us older gamers aren't going to agree with
it. But like, here's the thing: do you want your villains to be the Twitch streamers, which like everyone is worshiping?
Yeah.
And I put worshiping in air quotes. The people in this game, they worship the.
Okay, no, I've seen the followers of like streamers and YouTube personalities.
Some of them.
They would die for some of them.
Okay, real talk. Yes, like some of the super mega fans are ridiculous, but at the same time, do you want to piss off like that much of your audience and that much of your like media? If a Twitch streamer is like, yes, I'm looking to play a game. What games are coming out? Borderlands 3 or Sniper Elite 4. Oh yeah, Borderlands 3 is the one that makes fun of streamers. I'm not going to stream that because like this or that. You know, like I don't know.
It felt awkward.
Would you consider would that be a consideration to you if you were a popular Twitch streamer? Put yourself in that shoes.
I might laugh at it.
Would you laugh at it, or would you like make fun of the game for being like, look at all of these look at these adults being stupid as they think that this is how
I would laugh at it because, again, like going back to the first game where we talked about how you kind of like laughed at the mass hysteria, like you can't take anything in the Borderlands universe serious.
Well, that's true. I guess it all is in the tone of the game, which you'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
Yeah, well, like a monster would attack like the NPC, and this is just an example, you know, like a monster would attack like the NPC's friend or something. They're like, well, that's a shame. Like they wouldn't really pay. But in real life, if like a monster, like let's put ourselves in real life, like if a monster came up and like attacked you, I'd be like, oh my god! Like
here's the thing though. Do you remember in Borderlands 1 who is the main enemy? or did you even find out? It was this Crimson Lance lady who was hired by, I think, Hyperion to open the vault to get the treasure.
So it got serious towards the end.
And the second one was the CEO of Hyperion, Handsome Jack.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, like, you could say,
we don't even know if
big business was
Hyperion.
the enemy. Yes, mercenaries were the enemy. This one, Twitch streamers are the enemy. Like,
maybe they didn't want to, like...
I feel like they're outing a lot of their, like, possible players.
I think they just tried to play it carefully, and for some people it didn't work.
I suppose.
Let's take another example.
Hang on. There's something
Resident Evil 6.
There's something that I wanted to get to, because I'm just curious. And you might have seen my phone with it on it.
I'm going to come back to this, though.
Please do.
Okay.
I'm not stopping. I don't want to stop you, but I do want to know, because I looked up the scores for Borderlands 3 online. And I want you to guess what IGN rated Borderlands 3.
From what I'm hearing, I want to say probably, because you're making me guess, so it's not high.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Is it 6?
No, it's 9.
Really? It's a 9?
Yeah. What do you think Metacritic rated it on a percent of 0 to 100%?
I don't know.
I throw out a guess?
No, go ahead.
It was 79. And PC Gamer rated it 63%.
So there's mixed reviews.
Yeah, I would say. But...
Well, and that's weird because most of the streamers are on PC. Better graphics card, more accessibility, Steam.
Easier to gunplay, arguably. Now,
you have all of your functions right, like they're on the screen.
The other thing that I wanted to bring up as well is that this game is very glitchy when you first start it, and I didn't.
Which was a problem with Borderlands 1.
But when you open a menu, it almost completely, if you're playing split screen.
So maybe they tried to play it too carefully, and this is coming back to my other point.
Okay.
You're talking about how it's not as big a spectacle as one would think.
I think I was underwhelmed by the cutscene that Lilith was defeated in. The overall atmosphere of the game, it holds up. I'm not saying that it's not.
So I remember like watching X play when I was younger, and they did a review on Resident Evil Code Veronica for the GameCube. It originally came out for the Sega. And how they hadn't like remade anything, right? I think that's what.
Sounds like a game I should own.
Because you love bad games.
I love shitty games.
But you
They're my favorite.
You hate mainstream good games.
Well, I hate mainstream games. Here's the thing about Borderlands: it took forever to come out.
It did.
Why is it like this? Why are the menus shitty?
At least they
Why
didn't,
is the split screen bad?
At least it didn't have the development time of Anthem and half the content.
I mean, no one talks about Anthem because it's too easy of a target. Okay.
I'm pretty sure an orphan just died somewhere because we said Anthem.
No one talks
there
about
goes another
that.
one.
It's too easy to paint the target on the back of Anthem.
Okay, but here's my thing. So Resident Evil.
You're painting anything next to Borderlands.
They're remaking Resident Evil, right? This is another shooter, survival horror, though. Okay. But have you played the first 3 Resident Evils?
No.
So the camera angles were wonky.
Terrible, yeah.
But that was a part of the thrill. Like I can't get out of this room because the camera's against me.
Yeah, because you feel nervous, and that kind of plays into your character.
And then 4 comes along, and you have the over-the-shoulder view. You have more action, like you could stun an enemy, run up, and kick its face.
It was an action horror instead of a survival horror.
Right, but then 5 comes out, and you have that co-op. So you have 2 people. They tried to up the hordes, the weapons, which it was kind of terrifying with the graphics and everything at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But again, putting it up against games like Fear 2, and then you get to Fear 3, you start to come under this thing like where, okay, you want to be a badass. So we need more explosions.
You've gotten over it, yeah.
Yeah, so by the time Resident Evil 6 came in, and this was its undoing, is you had all these different scenarios you had to follow, which were like the lengths of like maybe 3 chapters in the original games. And you had all these explosions and mass hysteria, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, there's no way this giant mine shaft is under the fucking city. The city would collapse. And I'm talking Leon's story where the damn mine cart whatever that was, roller coaster ride or something. Like, this game was just unrealistic, and I think that's what Borderlands 3 tried to avoid, was being bigger than its britches.
I almost think it went for broke.
Maybe they just tried to play it too careful.
Maybe. There are two other things that I would want to bring up, and one of them is like the first start of the game that I know very well. You are going and you are collecting a key, and the bad guys have it, and then you get it back, and then you charge it up, and once it's charged, the bad guys swoop in and take it, and like literally that was the first 2 games there.
Do you get to visit other worlds? Because I feel like
yes, you do.
Okay, so they did kind of up that then. Like, you're not just confined to Pandora.
It just feels like they spat in my face with their like, see what we did there in the first 2 games? We did it again in an hour.
Which is what the newer generation does.
No, that's the developers. That's not their fault.
As an adult, and I'm not going to say our professions in real life, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The younger generation spits in our face all the time.
It's not the younger generations. Okay, look. The first 2 games, it was all about getting a key and opening a vault.
Yes.
And then the bad guys at the end open the vault and there's something terrible inside.
Yes, and then these new villains come by and do everything the bad guys did.
You get that done all in the first hour of the first game. That's not saying that these bad guys had less power than these 2 newcomers. That's saying that the game developers said, oh, I see what we did in those last 2 games. Let's do it again in the 3rd game to open up to a new story.
Oh, make it look like nothing.
Yeah, make it look like, you got tricked. You got duped again by the same old trick.
You feel like you got backhanded by
Snoop Dogg's
ring hand.
Like first game, yes, you deliver, you're seeing the alien races and the cool architecture. Second one, handsome Jackson asshole and all powerful, and I mean it does look like he had a plan. This one's just like, yes, these 2 took it because they knew you'd charge it. Well, of course they fucking were able to take it because come on, we didn't learn our lesson from the first 2? That's just, I don't know, that sounds like lazy writing to me.
Yeah.
It just sounds like lazy writing.
I can see where you get that. Again, I'm kind of like, I don't know, maybe I need to play it to fully understand how badly written these villains are.
They don't, here's the thing. I really like the other boss fights, except for the first one. The first one's a throwaway. But the second one, he's like a dubstep guy with lots of cool music attacks, and there's elements of you've got to watch out for the sides because noise comes out of the walls and explodes and shit.
See, I like,
and the music's good. And
I like Borderlands raid level boss fights.
And the colors are beautiful because it's fucking Borderlands. And then it stops when you have to fucking follow Claptrap around while he's talking about stupid shit.
Are you sure you're just not angry at Claptrap overall?
No, because you could, I guarantee you could do it to a bunch of different characters in that game. You go, walk here, go do this. But you can break any game down to that aspect. What I'm just saying is I expected more and I got a lot less.
No, I'm going to go on this because podcasts usually go on for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep this going.
Go ahead.
How would you rate Borderlands 3 to Destiny 2 right now?
Oh, fuck both of them. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Spoilers to everyone. I don't. And here's where Michael might be a little bit. Tal here might be a little bit. He probably knows more about my hatred for Destiny than a lot. But a lot of my hatred towards Destiny is towards their marketing choices. Not necessarily gameplay, because it's an excellent shooter. I'll give it that.
But they're both RPG shooters.
RPG shooters. Okay, in the aspect of RPG shooters, I like Destiny more, and I'll tell you why. Okay. Because all of the guns were available when you started. They might not all be great, but they are good. Yeah. And you can level them up. You can find different roles of different guns, just like Borderlands.
And they keep adding. I know you're not super concerned with what they're doing right now, but they've added more to it. So you know how each gun had its own set of perks.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can interchange the perks now. Once you've unlocked it, you can.
That would be a very wise decision for them to make.
The guns are way more customizable now in Destiny.
And that sounds very nice.
Hear that tinge? This is why I said it, because If you would have heard, like, when they first announced that the game was going free to play, and to me, I'm going to compare it to the DC Universe game model, to where the base game up to Shadowkeep is now free, but then you have to spend $35 on Shadowkeep. To me, that's not very far from where DC
But that's
Online
a pay-to-play game.
You could go to the map now. Like, they have it to where you can go to the map, you have, like, certain things. There's, like, a list of things you have. They've redid it compared to when Forsaken came out. And I still blame Activision, honestly.
And they are to blame.
I want to see where Bungie keeps going with this, because they're starting to backtrack. Like, I don't blame them. They can't invest all of their resources in backtracking everything. But this time, the Season Pass, Season of Undying, is included in that $35. It's not two separate prices this time. The smack in the face, though, and I felt it too, like, I have not played it yet. I'm sticking up for it, but I have not played it. And I'm not going to play it for a while.
Okay. I'm holding my tongue, because you have
spent $200 on this damn game just for them to make it free to play. And lock content. In Destiny 1, when a new PvP game mode came out, they fucking gave it to you. Iron Banner, shit like that. No, we're gonna hide Gambit. We're gonna hide the blacksmith lady. No.
All the Crucibles free? I guess
the Crucibles were still free. These extra new game modes like Gambit and.
I do have a question that's kind of burning in my bones. Can I ask it?
I'm not paying. What I'm saying is I'm not paying $60
more dollars,
which is what Forsaken was. Forsaken was amazing. And then it's like, oh, you want to keep doing stuff, you want to get the good weapons without as much grind, which, surprise, actually was a grind. We're going to give you this money. I'm sorry, but I saw people stop streaming Destiny 2 after that Season Pass came out. And that's what it is. It's like the Battle Pass stuff.
Yeah. I have a question.
It's for people who...
and you might know the answer, you might not. Because I've stopped playing. I never streamed Destiny 2, but I actually did play it quite a bit. And I think I was decently good at it.
You were amazing. Like, I found out his light level and he was taking people out in Crucible. Like, I'm not just saying that. He carried the team a couple times.
Okay, yeah. Well, that might
with shitty gear.
Okay, you watch me play Devil May Cry, and that's a hack and slash. You watch me play a shooter, it'll be a different story. But
this is one of them hack and slash where the guns never run out of bullets and only do minimum damage. He's not playing at his best here, folks.
The point that I wanted to ask is, did they add matchmaking to raids?
Yes.
Okay. Well. Okay. Good. I'm glad that they did that eventually.
Now, the raid and the extra stuff, and this still beats a subscription model where you're paying because I'm sorry, to me Destiny is an MMO. Maybe not a full MMO, but it has a lot of the qualities. You're paying for constant updates.
Just at one time for the content that you want.
Which has never been a big thing with fans. Like, fans haven't really liked DLC unless they're invested in the game. And then some of the games I want more DLC on doesn't come out with them.
Here's the thing that grinds my gears. But this is a lot of my opinion.
I think people are like, okay, they do it with Call of Duty all the time. Why couldn't we do it with Destiny?
Do they have a lot of paid content?
Call of Duty?
Call of
Duty, you have to pay for new maps.
Oh, okay.
Most of the time.
Well, again, I don't know.
I haven't played Call of Duty
because
in
I've
a
never
while.
played Call of Duty. Here's the thing. When you don't have internet growing up and you miss the Modern Warfare 2 craze where everything was great and dandy, I don't have any...
You're not missing a lot now. They're all bots.
Exactly. But the thing that grinds my gears is yes, you've got a game that you can play offline and you can play the story. Great.
Yeah.
That's Destiny. You can play it offline. You ain't gonna see anybody. You ain't gonna be able to play Crucible, but you'll be able to play it offline. You pay for PlayStation's subscription. You get to play with your friends. Great. That unlocks more content of the game.
Yeah.
Now, would you say that paying $60 for just the campaign of Destiny was worth it? The original, no DLC. Do you remember?
Yes.
The first of it?
I remember playing the original Destiny again on...
No. I'm talking about Destiny 2.
Destiny 2?
I don't even...
Once I found out what was going on, okay, so me being a little go back to the PS2 days, what happened was I expected it to follow a model like any other online game where the save files were kind of the same.
No. What I'm asking you is, judging from the completeness...
No, hold on. This is my answer. This is my answer.
It's a yes or no question, so...
No, but let me tell you why.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me your answer and then tell me why.
So I thought, because, no. Again, no.
Okay.
But this is why. Okay, so when I played the first Destiny 2 back on 360, 360 was kind of dying at that time.
Destiny, the original, or Destiny 2?
Destiny, the original.
Okay.
Okay.
Just making sure.
But this, I'm going to compare the two.
Yeah, please do.
We'll just make this episode about RPG shooters.
Well, when we're comparing it to Borderlands, it holds sand.
It does, because these are two of the biggest shooters on PlayStation.
Arguably, the two biggest looter shooters.
Right. Battlefront, you have to pay for the loot.
I am not going to put that on the same level as these two, because you actually
but you know what I mean? Like, looter shooters,
yeah. RPG elements.
You're either going to get to the top of the hill or you're not.
Yeah. And you get to decide when you want to stop.
So, the first Destiny came out 360. It was a little indifferent because it's not what people thought. The story was so fucking short. We finished it in like
a couple hours.
Opening night, we stood in line and listened to people argue about the different, like, who was better, Decepticons or Autobots. Like, this is what you get at a midnight premiere. Right?
Yeah, always.
And they had a Halo tournament because
343. Yeah.
343. Yeah. Bungie.
Sorry, Bungie. Damn it.
Which.
Fuck you.
Destiny is a gorgeous game. I don't care what anyone says. Like, you can hate it to shit, but you can never say anything about the graphics.
They're beautiful. Give credit where credit's due.
I was thinking, okay, they kept adding expansions, but then everyone was like, okay, Destiny 2's coming out. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. Because it's an online game. It has a lot of...
You were thinking that they just keep following with Destiny.
Because I'm used...
And a big release
I had never played online game. This is my first, like, big online...
Yeah, sure.
Cooperative game.
Mm-hmm.
Before Destiny, I had, like, played the shit out of Call of Duty. But I never played an MMO. Like, I played an MMO for, like, a week with my dad. Because he had already paid his subscription for WoW. I spent 2 weeks at my dad's house during the summer. That was my first, like, online experience, but I didn't know anyone online. I was too afraid to meet people online.
Yeah.
And every time, like, Dad got home from work, he's like, you're not, like, a higher level? Like, I'm like, this is my first MMO. I'm not used to the grind. Because I was a big fan of Final Fantasy and everything. Anyways, getting off topic. Dot Hack 2 for the PS2 wasn't a real MMO. It was a simulation of one.
Yeah.
Have you ever played Dot Hack?
No, I know of it though. I know.
So what would happen is when you put the second game disc in, it would read your save file from what I understood, and it would add on to it. I'm like, okay, if they could do that with an offline game, why can't they do that with a new game? People like Destiny 1. There was complaints about it, but there was still more from what I got. And you see people in the comments now, a lot of them are like, the game's fine, Bungie just needs to make everything free, Bungie needs to go back to Destiny 1. I've seen that a couple times. Which is why they added the moon and Shadowkeep, from what I understand. They want to take people back and get that nostalgia. And when the game went free, Destiny 2 also added, you know, that opening scene where the ghost finds you in the cars and you go into, like, the dam or whatever it is?
Yeah.
That's in Destiny 2 now. So they're adding elements of the first game to the second game. I'm sitting here, I'm like, why didn't they do that to begin with? Like what I said. Just keep advancing. They destroyed everything. Your player had to start over from scratch. You had to get...
Again, they kind of spat in your face with that whole...
Trying to, like, I'm not saying I'm dumb, okay? But I felt lost in the second game. When I got online, I was not the party leader because I could not take you from point A to point B. Because they just, to me, it felt like they screwed with our senses, almost, of what we knew about the game. And dramatically, it paid off. Like, it was cool. Like, I appreciated the story. I got into the lore.
You were able to get into
the lore. But it wasn't worth $60.
Not the... And see, my argument...
The story was a little longer, and I had noticed they focused more on the story. Because to me, the game, they were lacking story and content in the first one a little.
Mm-hmm. A lot of that, I think, was online, and a lot of people didn't find it because no one gave a fuck.
But it was cool. Like when I remember watching it on E3. I liked the idea of being in this world, and your friends could join you, and these massive ships would come into orbit and drop like like the devil tanks and everything.
Yeah.
And you'd go in, and even that kind of got a little old.
It did.
But they kept adding on to the map, and so to me, I was like, okay, maybe they would do it like that. No, they just they took everything away, and they forced us to get used to Destiny 2. And Destiny 2 had like overwhelmingly I've never seen more complaints. Everyone's like, I thought Destiny 1 was shit. So no, I don't think it's worth the money. I don't think what they did was proper.
Here's what I do think, though. I think Destiny and Destiny 2 were both incomplete games upon release, and for the initial price point, it was high. Mm-hmm. If they would have released it for less and then had the expansions, like me pay for expansions, I would have been okay with that.
No, what they did with Forsaken and the Taken King released a whole new set of story, a whole new map. If they would have kept doing stuff like that even, I would have been happy.
I would have been fine, but I don't feel like the content I paid for was worth the price point. And I also don't feel like...
I feel like Forsaken was worth it because it felt like an expansion.
Okay.
They keep calling these expansions, and I'm like, no, it's DLC at best. It's like a patch update.
Mm-hmm.
The expansions they gave us did not feel like expansions.
Because, nobody's gonna, here's the... Forsaken King was probably the best DLC that they've released
Taken King?
Sure.
Taken King and Forsaken were Forsaken was probably the biggest expansion they released that wasn't a completely new game, but was.
How many expansions are there?
There's 4 for the new game and then 4 for the old game. There's
the one that I didn't like was the... Here, I have the box of Destiny 2 somewhere in a fucking case or some shit.
He buried it to where it could hurt no one ever again.
It's just my feelings, it just triggers me so hard. Fuck you, Destiny. Destiny, do you remember your father's eyes?
Hey, let's not get flagged.
So, Destiny 2, Curse of Osiris was fucking terrible, and Warmind was also fucking terrible.
The only thing I liked about Curse of Osiris that you're able to go back in later levels was the garden, where the maps were randomly generated. That was kind of neat.
Yes, there you are, Warframe. You want random maps, go play it for free somewhere else that does it better.
I deleted Warframe from my console.
Yeah, I don't play it anymore either. But that's not my point. My point is, I've paid for both of those DLCs. Forsaken was bitchin'.
Well, it was rough because everyone that ran through the DLC was they were trying to get to Forsaken.
Yeah.
But then they slapped, what was it, $40 for PvP content.
Yeah, like Gambit and
the Black
Forge armor.
The Black Forge, which people had trouble igniting the forges, from what I understood.
And see, I stopped playing at that point because I was just like, I am done throwing money at this for a game that didn't feel finished in the first place.
It wasn't lore necessary to the overall experience, but for diehard fans who, like you said, kept throwing money at it, it wasn't fair to have a lot of content locked behind a paywall.
It was just me throwing money at this company saying, oh, maybe it'll do something this time when I throw this apple at it.
And we tried to do the raids. Don't say anything.
I didn't say anything.
But there's another story.
We tried really hard.
We're not going to tell them how far we got because it's a little embarrassing when you see people actually complete the raids. So we're not people who run the raids in this game.
We're not, to be fair.
We run raids in other games.
And we fucking own.
Yeah. This just wasn't our cup of tea. That being said, this was marketed as content locked for it's something that if people wanted to buy, the hardcore player, they could buy it. I'm like, that's not fair.
Yeah, that doesn't keep noobs from not playing your content. That makes everyone angry because they have to pay for it.
And they're like, well, the developers have to make money. I said I understood that.
Well, then make the game better and make your game.
Yeah, like if
Like,
you
make
would
the
have
next
added,
one.
if you would have like completed the game in the first place and then added that content, to me you could have raised the price and just charged us for one time.
Here's the thing, if Destiny 2 released with Curse of Osiris and Warmind already,
That would be the $60.
I would say I would be comfortable paying $60. If Forsaken came anywhere, if Forsaken came out as an expansion, and I knew,
and that's
and I knew what I
quantity
did,
to quality. We're not saying that would be worth the $60 quality wise.
it would just be content wise.
Yeah, $60 worth of content.
And this is
Because
our opinion.
Osiris sucked.
It does. It did, and it does. But Forsaken, I would feel comfortable paying $40 to $60 for that.
And this isn't like a review. This is just like
this is us bullshitting.
This is open conversation. Like if you want to write a nasty comment, go ahead. Because if you hate the game or if you disagree with us, that's fine.
We would love to know your opinion.
That being said,
Cite your sources.
Keep. Okay, I don't have this in any of the guidelines anywhere, but I've been seeing it with a lot of the stuff that's going on. Just quick pause from our subject matter. Anyone who posts anything about Trump, Democrats, Republicans, anything, this is a community for like free time stuff like gaming, anime, movies, music, any real world
Crafting.
Gundams, by the way, that was awesome. Any real world bullshit, and you're automatically blocked. I don't give two fucks. I don't care.
Yeah, we don't.
No offense. I was like,
we don't really want that here on our channel.
no, and I'm not saying that other personalities don't have the right to freedom of speech. You do. You don't have a right. Like your freedom of speech, fine. I have
But that's
a
other
freedom.
people's like anger and frustration, and this is a place for fun.
Yes,
and not a place.
And I'm not, and that's why all of our accounts are not our real account. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Our accounts are not our real accounts where we do post that shit. And I wish other people would do that. Because if you're a celebrity, I don't watch your movies and shit based on your view. So when you start showing it and using your platform for political gain and shit like that, that's not what I'm going to. That's not what I'm paying subscriptions for. That's not what I'm paying tickets for.
And that's what the Borderlands twins do.
So
we're not them.
Keep your shit out of our spaces. That's all I'm gonna say.
Cool.
Sorry.
You're fine. I mean, I feel the same way, and I mean,
I feel like we've never said that before, but I've been blocking my favorite artists lately.
No, I know. I've unfollowed and unliked a lot of
and it's comments and stuff like this. People just bring it up and Borderlands 3 is fucking Trump's fault.
It's a cynicism for the state of affairs in New Orleans based on the voters.
The hurricane's angry with us.
And it's all insert politician and celebrities here.
The hurricane is going to hit Alaska because Trump played Borderlands. No, keep that shit out of our areas, please.
We don't like it. We don't want it.
I don't care what your views are.
You're entitled to your opinions,
Yeah.
but you can have them somewhere other than a video gaming channel.
Yeah, please. Go to that forum. I've had artists, celebrities, everything I've blocked. Anyways, Destiny 2, Borderlands 3.
Bringing it back to Borderlands 3. Which ones... Did you ask me which one's better, which one I liked more?
Yes.
I would have... Gameplay-wise...
Keep in mind you have not played Shadowkeep yet.
Gameplay-wise, I would absolutely have to pick Destiny. And I can say that without a matter of a doubt.
Yeah.
The guns in Borderlands 3 that I've picked up have felt inaccurate. They have not felt that powerful. And the fact that they've limited the choice of guns that you can use at the initial start really was a turnoff.
That was one of the things marketed in Borderlands 3 during the trailers I've seen. Was all the guns. Like in the trailers you had loot crates exploding with guns flowing out. Mm-hmm. How do you keep track of them all?
They have a lot. Well, a shitty menu that breaks your game if you're online or if you're playing split screen.
Is there really a collections menu?
Oh, I don't know if there's a collection.
Because that's one of the things I liked that they added to Destiny 2 was if you didn't have a full set.
The collections menu. It shows you what you're missing.
Yeah, and then there's some things like if they weren't like specific gear, like if you had to give them a certain way, you could actually rebuy them from the collections menu.
Yeah. And that's a really nifty feature.
I wish Borderlands would add that if they have as many guns as they say they do.
Well, I think a lot of them are like reskins or add a second feature.
I was worried about that. I kept noticing that in the second game.
Or different stats. I mean, like, granted, how else would you do that?
It's like, hey, you get this new unique gun and it looks really cool, and you're like, yeah, this gun is me. This is an extension of myself. But then when I was sitting there playing it, I was just like, oh, it does the same thing as this gun, just with better stats. And then you find a better gun that does the same shit, but then you don't like the way it looks.
I don't give two shits about the looks as long as it kills something well.
Exactly.
But it's like, what's the point then?
But then you have other games, not just Destiny 2.
Uh-huh.
I don't know any other. Can you customize the look of your weapon? You can. You can customize the paint and the skin and everything in Warframe.
If you get...
you have to buy some of it with real world money.
It depends what you want. You can color them what you want, but then certain weapons you actually have to pay money for.
But you can't do that in Borderlands.
Not to my knowledge.
Right. Some people actually care, like the guns go with their outfits. I think that's a little...
But, yeah, I mean, like, you can do what you want. If, like, you've got the money and that's what you want to spend it on, fine. But
Borderlands, like, they just automatically give you all the guns. But sometimes I feel like the guns are just, like, reskinned, like you said, with just, like, better numbers attached to them.
And that's fine. And, like, you can do that any other way. But,
I guess it depends on how you want it.
If you look at it that way, then it's like takes away one of their big selling points. Let's see if it's on the box anyway.
I want...
Make some mayhem. Shoot and loot your way.
Quote, unquote. Oh, I'm kidding. Is that all it says?
Yeah, I don't see anywhere where it's like, billions of guns!
I'd attach the trailer if I didn't think we'd get in trouble.
I don't know.
But, I want that it would be different if they're like trying to market it like kill your way, because obviously in Borderlands the level of your gun and what it is able and not able to do affects the outcome of your boss encounters.
Yeah.
That's been my thing though. Like some people are like, I used a rocket launcher, and other people are like, I use this, and then other people's like, I twerked.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about all the information that we wanted to toss out about this.
Is it though?
Do you have anything else you'd like to add? I know I've said my piece on more than one topic that I'm absolutely passionate about tonight.
I wish they would put Borderlands, the first one, out on PS Plus, like the free-to-play one, like they did Sniper Elite 4.
Oh, that'd be nice.
But
I don't think they'll do
you
that,
just got
but-
rid of your Plus subscription, though, so you wouldn't get free anything.
That's fine. I actually own a physical copy.
Do you have The Last of Us?
No,
Did you like The Last of Us?
I never played it.
Did you want to play it?
No,
It was free this month.
I don't care.
And see, that right there, that's basically like if Rook doesn't care, Rook doesn't care.
Yeah, like I know Last of Us, benchmark game, super awesome. I hear it has a great story. I've watched someone play it. That's all I needed. Didn't really inspire me to go and play it. Last of Us 2, not really gonna play it probably. Not too interested.
Yeah.
Probably watch someone play it.
No, I hope people listen to this, and I hope people leave their opinions, you know, just like this is our opinion. We're not trying to make you hate it. We're not trying to make you like it.
We're not trying to convince you that we're right and you're wrong, or your uncle's opinion is terrible.
If you want to go spend the money on this game, do it. You are not stupid for doing it.
Hey, IGN rated a 9 out of 10.
You worked for your money. Shut up.
Fuck you. I'll get into my IGN rant later.
You made me use that word I told my mom I wasn't going to use. Now you're hurting my mama. No, fuck. I just said it again. I accidentally said that word playing Monopoly, and she just stared at me. And my brother-in-law's like, Michael, your mom's sitting right there. My sister started laughing at me. And my mom was just staring
laughing at you too.
Well, Monopoly is a very easy game.
I would have high-fived you. Well, yeah, fuck Monopoly. Everyone ends up as a loser in Monopoly.
Everyone says, I bet.
Makes you experience the feel of like a real estate bankruptcy.
Well, I was at that age to where I shouldn't be afraid to say that word in front of my mom. Like, she didn't hit me or anything, you know, like a little kid would. Like, don't say that, smack on the hand. She was shocked. She's like, you're old enough to say what you want. I was just, it was funny.
Well, thanks for listening to us ramble for a while.
Yeah.
I hope you have a good night or morning wherever you may wander, you wayward souls.
And make sure to tune in for our next podcast / whatever else this is.
Yeah, next time on the GameFaze.
Ooh.